What's up everyone, Sixpenny here, and today we have some good and some terrible news for EA Sports PGA Tour 2023. And like I always say for these news videos, don't hate the messenger. You know, I'm just spreading the information. There's some good stuff here, but there's also some really bad stuff that kind of slows down my hype for the game. And I'm going to share it with you today because I'm upfront with this stuff to you all. But what I ask, you know, instead of just spamming the dislikes because you're mad at the news, drop a like. The more likes this gets, the more people that sees this, maybe somebody at EA or one of the developers can see this and be like, okay, let's change this before launch. So I say that, and let's get on with the news. So a new article interview with the devs by Operation Sports by Steve Noah was posted today, and we get a lot of information on gameplay, some different elements, camera angles, weather, and stuff like that. But again, like I said, there's good and bad news here. So let's go ahead and get on with it. So first question from Operation Sports: which previous EA golf game does the putting experience come closest to? Craig Pinner, the gameplay designer, said both putting and regular swing mechanics should feel familiar to players who have played previous EA Sports golf titles. However, the improvements you'll notice are the new swing and putt meter visuals, which are now tightly integrated with the golfer's swing animation. This allows you to fill and time your input according to the animation of your golfer's swing instead of solely by watching a meter fill up in the UI. So moving on to the camera angles. How many camera angles are available, and are there any options for customizing them? So there are 4 options for camera height when addressing the ball, with the ability to set your default preference for normal swings and putting independently. There are 3 different camera packages for tracking the ball while it's in flight. Follow is the default camera, which closely tracks the ball while allowing you to rotate it with the analog stick. Pro is an immersive camera that holds behind the golfer until the ball lands, and Broadcast is a camera package that closely resembles a TV-style golf broadcast. Additionally, there is also a pre-shot zoom camera that allows you to preview the landing area of your upcoming shot. You have complete freedom to control the zoom, camera's rotation, and depth, along with 3 options for its height. I really like the sound of the default Pro camera because I do that anyway in 2K23 because I had the follow cam off and I turn it on myself when the ball hits. So moving on, will the game have advanced shot shaping as an option for more challenging gameplay? For example, if I want to draw or fade the ball, will there be a requirement to move the analog stick on a diagonal axis for these shots? Yes, there are 2 options for shot shaping input. Off always requires straight down up input regardless of intended shot shape, while on requires the backswing input to be directed down on an angle left or right depending on the amount of desired shot shape. The improvement we made in this area is to always require the forward swing input finish in the top middle of the analog stick. We found that this movement is not only easier to execute, but also makes more sense conceptually for the forward swing to always finish at a common location that represents the club ball contact point. Although the on-shot shaping setting is more challenging than off, our intention is strictly to provide a more immersive and authentic swing mechanic. Introducing additional challenge is just a byproduct of this. As a simulation of professional golf, one of our goals is to encourage players to utilize shot shaping since it is a fundamental part of a professional play. Closely related to this is a new feature around shot shape preference. Every golfer now has a preferred shot shape, either a draw or a fade. Hitting shots with preferred shot shape provides an accuracy bonus, making it easier to execute the shot. Our hope is that improvements like these encourage more players to use shot shaping and ultimately play more like a pro. As we take a look at this sounds actually really difficult. It seems like they're really trying to make shot shaping a little bit harder to where you actually have to angle the analog stick left or right, depending on if you want to draw or fade, and then pull it up straight. So that is going to take a while to get used to. I kind of like that because it creates a skill gap, especially in online play. But what's cool is you can turn that off. If people just want to go straight up, straight down, you can turn that off. So are there sliders included in the game to make the game more difficult? For example, can the putting meter for distance control be turned off? And this is something I covered in my ultimate preview article. And video, if you want to watch and learn so much about this game, check out my ultimate preview article on the channel. Just go to the channel page. It's the featured video at the top. So yes, putting aim point can be set to either aim assisted or at cup, which is a gameplay setting that we've carried forward from previous EA Sports golf titles. For a complete list of our gameplay settings, their mappings to each of the 4 gameplay styles, check out our gameplay deep dive. So that is something I covered in actually 2 videos, and we went over the different settings in the game, but there are a lot of different settings you can customize in this game, which is awesome. Getting closer to some of the what I call terrible news. So don't go away, we are almost there. So can we play round with all aspects of the tournament atmosphere disabled if we wanted to? Yes, there is a setting for crowds that can be toggled off, which disables not only crowd members but also tournament structures on the course. Is there a database of various swings to choose from for your created player? If so, how many? Yes. Players have 12 different swing animations to choose from, 7 male and 5 female. This is awesome. This is something I've always wanted in the PGA Tour 2K23 and the PGA 2K series, to customize the golf swing, and you can actually choose from 7 different male swings, 5 different females, which is awesome. In career mode, if you're tied for first place at the end of the tournament, will there be a playoff to participate in? Yes, we have playoffs if the user is tied at the end of the round in career mode. So this was a new feature that was actually added in PGA Tour 2K23 this year, and it's awesome to see it in the competition as well. EA Sports PGA Tour will have playoffs to settle the rounds at the end. So will commentary have any progression with regards to how a season career is playing out? Ben Ramser, the producer, says, yes, we've recorded a bunch of content that highlights the performance of the user and the competition in the tournament the user is currently playing, how the user did the prior week, and look ahead at upcoming schedule and more. In general, we've recorded hundreds of hours of commentary and added on-course reporters to tell stories of the strategy and history of each course, describe shots and putts with immense detail, and ultimately enhance the immersive experience as if a user was watching a live golf broadcast, which sounds awesome. So here's the first as we get to the bad news, but this is not to me the biggest deal breaker. But here we go. Is progressive lighting included? What about various types of weather conditions that affect course conditions? We have 3 times of day for each course to be played: morning, midday, and late afternoon. Weather conditions are not a part of launch, so it will not affect gameplay. So there we have the confirmation that there is no weather conditions at the launch of EA PGA Tour, such as dynamic weather, rain, changing the environment, changing the conditions on the course. That will not be there at launch. I received a lot of questions about that in my ultimate preview. It's good to get the confirmation on that, but that is so sad to see. I hate to see that. Hopefully it's something that's added. This question relates to the aim marker and what effect it has on the swing mechanics. In previous EA golf games, it has been far too easy to dial in distances because the adjustment of the aim marker has always shortened the backswing length automatically to suit the new yardage. Any chance of leaving it up to the player to make the judgment on when to start the transition from backswing to downswing, rather than it being capped by the marker's adjusted position? What design choice have you chosen for EA Sports PGA Tour? This is such a great question from Operation Sports here. This is the question that I had, and I was surprised to see this answer. Good question. Requiring distance be controlled through partial shots is something we considered and prototyped during the game's development. However, one of the things we discovered through this experimentation is that it made distance control on short game shots like chips disproportionately difficult when compared to the rest of gameplay. Ultimately, we decided that allowing the aim marker to set the length of the swing more closely aligns with how professional golfers are able to feel and judge distance on their short game shots. What we're doing instead of this is limiting the movement of the aim marker depending on the shot type. For example, if you're trying to hit an approach shot that's in between clubs, you won't be able to pull back the aim marker to the perfect distance. Instead, you'll need to either learn how to use shot shaping or use other shot types like knockdown or finesse S to fill the gap in your bag. So that means if you played any other the 2K series, 2K, you have to hit partial shots, right? Even when you move the aim marker, if you have distance control turned off, you have to hit a partial shot. So basically now in this EA Sports Golf game, what they've done is what they've done in the past, to where moving your aim marker sets the distance for you and how far you can pull the swing back, which makes partial shots really easy to master. I was hoping for players to have to choose the distance themselves, or at least to have the option for that. I would like to have the option for that, because I know a lot of arcade and casual players probably love hearing this news. Me, on the other hand, would like to see it the opposite way, but that is the news. We have it. So partial shots are dictated by the aim, and it only allows you to pull back so far, but you won't be able to pull it back so far with every shot. You may have to use different shot types to fill in the gaps. But here we go. This is the biggest, saddest news with this. This actually crushed me when I saw this. So I'm just going to read it before we talk about it. As we understand it, consoles will be capped at 30 FPS. Will the PC version be uncapped or allowed 60 FPS? That's correct regarding consoles at 30 FPS. And yes, PC has options for 30 FPS, 60 FPS, and unlocked frame rates. So this hurts. This hurts many of us out there. And I know that. This is a next-gen golf game. A next-gen golf game built for PS5, Xbox Series X, and Series S, that's being capped at 30 FPS. No next-gen game, especially specifically built for next-gen game in 2023, should have the only option at 30 FPS. You should be able to do both, 30 FPS, 60 FPS. That is that's heartbreaking. And I know a lot of people, the majority of their player base will be playing on consoles as well. And I know a lot of people will not be playing this game until they either change that or update it. You know, what I'm hoping is maybe they come across different people's videos and Twitter posts, and they're like, wait, we should change this before launch. But as of now, the game is launching 30 FPS on a next-gen console. That is a deal breaker. That is a deal breaker for me as a console. I will be playing on PC. I was going to play it on console as well, but 30 FPS at launch for a next-gen game is just... It's heartbreaking. You hate to see it. Let me know what you think about that down below. And then it goes on to ask about the pre-ordering the deluxe version gives you 3 days early access, including exclusive early access to Augusta National. Does that mean the standard edition users will need to wait for Augusta to be released at a later date, or are we reading too much into that? This was a great question. I had this in my ultimate preview and in my interview with Daniel Rahmans. Both standard and deluxe editions include our complete roster of 30 world-class courses, including Augusta National and the Road to the Masters content at launch. The deluxe edition includes 3 days exclusive early access to the entire game, along with additional benefits and content that will only be live during that 3-day window. So I guess what their exclusive Augusta National is the additional benefits and content that will only be live during that 3-day window. So Augusta is not locked behind the deluxe edition of the game for any amount of time, which is awesome to hear. That's the answer we all wanted. So here we go. We heard that the 3-click swing option will be patched at a later date. Do you have a rough estimate on when that would be? 3-click is really important for the players, so an early title update is the planned release. So there you have it. We already knew there was no 3-click at launch, but it is coming in an update, and it just says early title update is planned for release. But that, you know, we don't know. That doesn't mean anything, right? So there you have it. The developer then goes on to say that what they're most exciting for in the new game is all the different shot types and playing more like a pro. And that is the end of the interview. But this was a great interview. It actually answered a lot of the questions that we had, a lot of us had. And this one right here, the 30 FPS, it's a heartbreaker. Like, I know many of you out there, when you read that, you were upset, and it's rightfully so, right? But don't hate the messenger. I'm just getting the news out there to you all. You can do what you want with it, right? My goal is to feed you all the information as soon as I can. But thank you all for watching this video to the end. If you got some enjoyment, drop a like. It really helps the channel. And subscribe if you want to see more. Plenty of content to tune into on the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you all. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell and stay up to date on all the news leading up to the EA Sports PGA Tour games release. I will see you next time. As always, have a fantastic day, everybody.